All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of T&J Sports Podcast. Today we're going over week 4 of college football, along with Kentucky and Louisville, and some news out of Georgia Tech, firing its athletic director and head football coach. So welcome in. Drizzy's here. I know T-Stalls, you're
T
here as well.
Stalls. Yes, sir. T Stalls here. Episode 13. Love it.
Episode 13, back at it again. Thanks for listening first and foremost. First thing we'll go over, we'll start with Louisville. They had the early game between the two on Saturday. And all in all, from what I saw, very good for Louisville. Good to get back on track.
Yeah.
Just overall good victory. Almost a shutout. Y'all won 41-3 over South Florida, who nearly beat Florida 1 week before in Gainesville. So you're now sitting at 2-2. How are you feeling after your win on the weekend?
Um, I will not be that guy. I will say I'm happy with the win. Definitely love the fashion and the way that we won the game. We went up pretty big on them 31-0. And then of course, like you said, they had that one field goal in the fourth quarter. Pretty much a shutout. I will take that as a shutout. I'll give the defense that shutout. Just so happened they were able to get 40 yards on that drive to end the third quarter and start that fourth quarter and was able to get a field goal early. But man, the defense is lights out. I knew that from the get-go. I kind of knew this game shouldn't be competitive, and it wasn't. That's the first time Louisville has actually put their foot, as we used to say, put their foot on the throat and don't let them breathe. And that's exactly what they did with South Florida, as they should. I won't give them too much praise other than just hey, you did what you're supposed to do. Now let's keep it rolling into next week. But Malik Cunningham, he played a solid game. 14 of 22 with 186 yards passing and 1 touchdown. And now Drizzy, if some of our listeners don't remember what I said last time, I said,
Nope.
what's the key to the games? What was the key to the games?
The key to the game was to have Malik run the football.
And what did Malik do in this game?
He had 9 carries, 113 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yes, he did. And why did it take us game 4 to realize? I think, you know what, I won't say Scott Satterfield didn't realize that. I think he was trying to give Malik a little bit more than just being a runner. He wanted to give him that passer status because he wants to be more of a passer, just like every dual threat quarterback. They don't want to be seen as just a guy with legs and a decent arm. He wants to be seen as a guy with great arm and who can also run if need be. But in this circumstance, Malik Cunningham is a guy with a decent arm with great legs. So you have to play the hand that you're dealt. And Malik Cunningham, I believe he took that on this week, and the man had a 40-yard run for a touchdown for the first score of the game in the first quarter, and he had a 35-yard run in the second quarter. And then just 4 minutes after that touchdown, he had an 8-yard run for a touchdown, in the second quarter as well for his 3 scores. This is exactly what we need from Malik Cunningham, because what did that do? Like I mentioned before, it brought everybody up to the line, and it was allowing Malik Cunningham to hit those deep balls that we want to, those long developing play action plays where he can hit a great pass. I mean, even better catch. And Jalen Carter, who might I add is a transfer from Louisville, who just got a scholarship during this offseason. So it was great to see Jalen get in the game and get a touchdown in his first catch ever in Louisville, and it being a touchdown. But again, like I said, running Malik Cunningham opened up that pass, and man, it was great to see. I hope we keep it going for next week. I know we definitely have a tougher task next week than we did with South Florida, but it's just Boston College. I feel like that's still another winnable game. Boston College hasn't shown much this year. The quarterback play isn't great, but his stats are better than Malik Cunningham, so I can't really harp on him too much. But right now, it looks like Louisville should, get another win and go 3-2 on the year.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, it's great. Your game plan worked. Malik running the football.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what he does best. I like 186 yards passing, 14 to 22, mostly very Took care of the football. Um, I mean, you guys had 542 total yards of offense. You only had one turnover on the day on a fumble, 28 first downs on the day. The penalties, let's say 5 for 59, still might be a little bit of. I didn't get to watch the whole game, so I don't know if it was discipline related or just a little bit of lack of self awareness on some. That's
Mm-hmm.
about the only thing you could clean up from this game. I mean, you got your backup quarterback in the game, threw for 73 yards. You had 11 players catch a pass in the game. I mean, that's good to get either some young guys in there at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
game, get the ball in their hands. You know, so all in all, you look like it looks like it's a very productive week. Get back to 500. You've got a road test, Boston College at noon on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You are favored by 15 and a half. So
That's
uh,
that's a huge spread for
is is a
Louisville.
huge spread on the road as well. So I
Yeah.
mean, you're looking almost three, just under three touchdown favorite there.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we'll see what transpires, this weekend. But all in all, I think just getting back into yourself, your identity, and whatnot, and moving forward with everything. So I got praise that y'all put it all together. This week your defense was really good. Um, Sharing the ball around, won the turnover battle. Just the penalties is all that I think you can clean up from that.
Mm-hmm.
So um,
I mean, looking at that game and if you look at the teams that we played in these first 3 weeks, the record entering the third week for all the teams that we have played is 11-1. So my thought process after losing to Syracuse in week 1 was, wow, we are going to be really, really bad, or Syracuse is definitely going to shock people. They're definitely shocking people by being 4-0 right now. They beat Purdue, who is no sleeper by any means, with Brom at the doing what he can over there in Purdue, and then they just beat University of Virginia. That's a huge win. Syracuse is no sleeper team, and now that I'm looking back on it, that's if Louisville could replay that game, I think we would win 6 out of 10 times. But that's just saying how good Syracuse is this year. And I think Louisville just wasn't having that edge in that game 1, which I don't know why. I don't understand how you won't have that fire burning in you game 1 and you're on the road. You're the prime game on Friday night. I don't know why we didn't have that edge burning, but I think if we play that game again, we'd win 6 out of 10. But like I said, the opponents we played, FSU, we already know about FSU. They're really good. They just beat Boston College 44-14. They beat LSU 24-23. We know LSU isn't that great, but that's still a win. And I think, these opponents that we've played have shown, like, Louisville's had a tough schedule in these first 6 than we thought they were actually going to have. Because as we mentioned in the episode before we started this season, that I thought, Louisville could get a 6-0 start in that first half of the season because that was the easier part. Now I'm looking at it like, man, Louisville just didn't have an easy part of the schedule. At least as of week 4, we didn't have an easy schedule. I think it was a pretty decent, well-rounded schedule, and playing 2 great teams that showed us that they were good, and then we played 2 teams that we definitely should have won, and we won.
yeah, I mean, your record of opponents so far going into week 5, everyone you've played sitting at 12-4.
Mm-hmm.
Syracuse, Florida State, both undefeated. UCF, their lone losses to you all. South Florida has 3 losses, but they played 20. BYU was ranked 25th at that time. Florida was ranked 18th at that time, and then you all, which I mean, that's those 3 losses aren't indicative of how bad USF is, more so as the schedule that they've had to play so far. But yeah, I mean, all in all, with Louisville, I think it's a solid week going forward. Put it together. I mean, you played Florida State with them 4. Honestly, probably should have won that
Yeah,
game had
definitely.
Brownlee not got cooked like a piece of bacon
Man,
for the whole second half.
give this guy
And
stats.
we just like 44-14, Florida State just beat Boston College. So I could see you all winning this weekend, hands down. Uh, I could see it. I could see it definitely.
That kid, Johnny Wilson, that was torching us, he did most of his damage this season against us. He had his 2 touchdowns on the year against us. But I mean, I don't know if we just didn't know the game plan for him because he hasn't did much, but it's early season, so I get that. I think these kind of things tend to happen in the early weeks of the season because you don't know what you'll get from these teams. But I think they should have known what you'll get from a 6'7" receiver. But that's in the past. We're all about going 1-0, and that's what Louisville did this week. So I'm happy. I'm a happy Cards fan. I didn't get to do my bourbon shot. I was on the road, but Louisville get it done this week against Boston College, and you'll see two shots, not one, but 2 shots going up on our page for sure.
2 shots, calling it. All right. Well, I guess that will wrap up Louisville this week. Any recruiting news or anything like that going on at all for you?
No, just a couple he say, she say. They think we may lose some recruits, but I don't think we are. Again, recruits are going to take their trips. They're going to do what they do because they're young. They want to experience stuff. So I'm not really worried about losing anybody. Now, gaining people, I'm looking forward to seeing if we gain some more people. But yeah, that's it for Louisville. Let's keep it going, Cards.
I'm with you. All right. So we'll switch over. The more central part of the state. We'll go to Kentucky. Kentucky at home versus Northern Illinois. Um, moved to 4-0, won 31-23 over Northern Illinois, who played Vanderbilt really good last week, almost came away with a win down there in Nashville. Not your best overall game, which 2 weeks ago when I said going into these games, these were my tune-up games that I wanted to see some things put together. And
Mm-hmm.
so far, hasn't really been that way. I think NIU was a much tougher team to play than
Yeah,
Youngstown State was.
definitely.
Um, but at the same time, we're sitting here at 4-0. We're number 7 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the road this week at Ole Miss. It's I believe, a top 15 game. Top
Yeah.
14 game. They're ranked fourth,
Are
and
you
we're
college
playing on
game day
Saturday.
this week?
Also, a new. Huh?
I'm surprised y'all won't be college game day. I don't think
Not college
anybody else.
game day. Gosh, who's a college game day? I think Alabama, Arkansas is this weekend. So
Oh, yeah, that's probably definitely
I
college game day. Yeah.
think it's going to Arkansas. So, um, and then again, I'm not really sure, but I think so. But we're on the road in Oxford. A really weird week going on with Ole Miss and how they are with kind of flip flop with Lane Kiffin. They're more of a running attack than passing attack this year. They got a 3-headed running back group. Um, so we'll see how our defense does. But I mean, last week, Levis, 18-26, 303 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Thank God we didn't throw an interception.
True.
Almost did. Almost did. Dude dropped it, you know. So cleaning that up. Kavase Smoke, 12 carries, 85 yards. Then pretty much all the receiving yards came from 2 guys for the most part. Tavion Robinson, 147, 2 touchdowns, and Barry and Brown, 4 receptions for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. Um, it's 249 of Will Levis's 303 yards right there. So those guys can get it done, and that was without Dane Key, who has been there for the first 3 games. I
Yeah.
mean, offense solid. I like to see more points on the board than 31.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, you're not going to be the one, nitpicking a win for you all. Um, I just hope that some of these things that didn't get squared away aren't going to hurt us in the future. We do get Chris Rodriguez back this week.
That's
Um,
huge. That's
it's
huge.
huge for the running game, which I thought was getting a good mix
Mm-hmm.
between the guys last week. But I mean, that's going to be great. We had 7 players catch a pass on Saturday, 406 total yards of offense, had a turnover with a fumble. We only had 2 penalties for 8 yards. So I'll take that any day of the week. I don't know how you get 2 penalties and only 8 yards. I don't know which ones those equate with.
Sorry,
Uh,
it's probably a half a distance penalty,
yeah,
probably like within the
I
10 yard.
know. I know there was one of those, so I'm thinking maybe we just had a couple of those.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. 4-0, seventh in the country.
Hmm.
Honestly, I mean, just looking at the rankings themselves, we could end up being higher, especially after this weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe jumping people.
There's a lot of upsets this past week. So,
A lot of upsets, a lot of teams not playing very well.
yeah.
Ohio State looked the best out of those top three.
Yeah.
Michigan hasn't
Alabama
played
took care
anybody.
of business. Alabama took care of Georgia did not look good. I'll give you that one,
Georgia did not look good. No, Georgia did not look good.
especially against Kent State, man.
I mean, Clemson struggled. I mean, went to overtime, but Wake Forest looks really good.
They do.
Uh, USC struggled heavily
Yeah.
in their game this past weekend. So I mean, honestly, we get a win this weekend over a top 14 team. I don't think anyone else other than Alabama has a top matchup like that. I could see us maybe jumping a USC
Well, I
if
figured out who's college game day. College game day this week is Clemson, NC State. So that's the 5 versus 10 matchup. So if
that.
Kentucky
Yeah,
take care of business this week and they beat Clemson, I don't see NC State jumping over you all to take like 5 and you all go to 6. But I could definitely see, you all moving up if Clemson loses. But if Clemson wins, then I think you'll probably be stuck right there at 7 just because. Oh,
I mean, there's not much else to jump over. I mean,
yeah. Ohio State has
unless
Rutgers. Yeah.
Michigan has Iowa,
Georgia has Mizzou. So, and Alabama
and
plays
Alabama,
Arkansas.
Arkansas,
Now that could be.
and
Hmm,
you got a top 20 game there. You
mm-hmm.
got the 5-10 game. I mean, USC, I think if we win, I think we at least move up to 6,
Yeah.
regardless of what else goes on. I
Yeah.
mean, USC hasn't really beaten anybody. Rice, Stanford, Fresno State, and then Oregon State. They play Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
They don't play anybody with real talent and for 2 or 3 weeks from now. So
Yeah.
I'd say we'd at least probably move up one. I don't think in my lifetime we've ever been where we are now, let alone getting up to sixth. So it's a refreshing time. It's different.
Yes. UK is doing great, but if you flip that team, KU is they're balling. They're 4-0 for the first time, I think, in program history, or at least since I've
I
been
think
born.
since '09,
Oh, 09,
they had one. They
wow.
had one really good year
Oh
in
yeah, King
'09.
Khalid year. Yeah, I remember.
And but I mean, how they were the 26th ranked team in the country this week. And
That's huge.
they almost cracked that top 25. So it's weird time football, to be
Yeah.
honest. So
They received 125 votes to be in the top 25. That's pretty good. North Carolina they dropped. Yeah, they dropped a game. They dropped last week or this past week. Who did they play? I knew it was a
I
good
think Notre Dame. They played
Notre
Notre Dame.
Dame. Yeah, and Notre Dame laid it on them. I did not see that happen. You know what else I didn't see happening this week? Middle Tennessee freaking dogging Miami. I did not see that going down.
Yeah, that was. We turned that on, and I was like, this was still in the first half. It wasn't even that bad yet. That just looked bad. Oklahoma dropped 12 spots this week. Arkansas dropped 10. Wake Forest, I don't know how Wake Forest drops one spot when you lose to a top 5 team. I just keep leave them put. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no harm in losing to a top 5 team.
And they lost in a way. It's like it was a Hartman is a great quarterback, great offense. That's what I kept saying. Like no matter what game Wake Forest will play, they will be high scoring if Hartman's in the game. Every single one of their games has been 40 plus, except for Liberty, where they only won by 1 point, 37-36. But Sam Hartman is a beast, man. I wonder what he went out for earlier in their season. I can't remember what he did. I knew it was a non-football injury, but
I don't think
they've
they
won
ever
bad
came out and
play.
said,
Huh.
but yeah, I don't think they ever came out and said anything about
Yeah.
it. But I mean, he definitely looks really good. that was a really good early in the day game to get going watching football on Saturday.
Do you watch their RPO action and how long that offensive line? He definitely needs to get praise to the offensive line because he's a great quarterback, but that offensive line is unreal. He holds the ball in the running back's gut for a good three count, just one, two, like looking to see, all right, is that DB coming? All right, is that linebacker coming? All right, pull, toss a touchdown. Their offense has been like that for at least the last couple of years with Hartman being there, and that's what gives Louisville a problem every year. And like I mentioned early during the summer this year when we, talking about the loss to Wake Forest last year, and they got that extra 3 seconds. But Wake Forest is a team that I think they can still make the college football playoffs if they win out, and then of course they'll have to win in the ACC championship. But I think they could do it. They have a great quarterback that can allow them to do that. So we'll see.
I guess to make the championship, they're going to have Clemson lose a couple times. They're in the same
Yeah, they're
division,
both in
so
the Atlantic. So unless they have Clemson, yeah, because then Clemson will owe that tiebreaker on them if Clemson loses to like Florida State or you know anybody else they play this year. But I think Wake Forest is a great team. They'll be in a New Year's Six bowl game then.
yeah. I mean, it's the hype behind him was real.
Mm-hmm.
Sam's really good. The team, and all in all, is really good. Um, Speaking of Clemson, Wake Forest, they were one of our games of the week last week where we did pick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we can jump into that real
Yeah,
quick. Go over week 4 picks. Honestly, for both of us, this is a really good week.
yeah, it was.
Um,
Yes, I'll take it.
I'll take it. Keep my record looks pretty good in college, not NFL. Not really talking about that one. Not excited for NFL and fantasy talk, but we got week 4. We had Wisconsin, Ohio State. We both took Ohio State, got the win there. Clemson, Wake Forest, one of those games. We both took Clemson, got the win there. Florida, Tennessee. Florida backdoor covered on Tennessee, so a lot of people who bet that spread probably a little mad. Um, Tennessee was able to handle business. Got that one right. In Indiana, Cincinnati. The game that took way too damn long. Didn't get to see the first quarter of the Kentucky game because of that blowout. And once again, the reason why I hate Indiana is because they're god awful and got dog walked by Cincinnati. So we both took Cincinnati. We got that right. We're sitting at 4-0. One game of the week that we picked opposite on Arkansas A&M down in Jerry's World. I
Mm.
took A&M and you took the Razorbacks. And of course, I've never seen a field goal hit the top of the post and back into play, and not like the top of the upright. It was on top of the goalpost.
Yeah,
That was a little different
that's
to
one of the
see.
more unreal moments of this
Yeah,
week.
and it was so what I understood, what I've learned this week when they were playing that game, obviously in the Cowboys Stadium. They used the NFL size goalpost in that. So normally
Really?
college is a little bit shorter. Yeah, they didn't change them out. So those the NFL uprights, they're taller.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear a lot of people saying, well, maybe that it would have been different if it was college post, he would have made it. My thought process is I just and my geometry or math could be totally wrong. The way that ball was going, I think it would have ended up being wide right if it was on the college post. I mean,
Yeah.
you play. Would that be more correct, or am I just off base with that one?
No, I think you're right. I don't know why they would use that goalpost and in the game. I guess maybe Jerry didn't want to mess up. I guess what they have there. They didn't want to mess up the field. Probably was too much to go into changing out the goalpost, but um, it sucks. Nevertheless, if that was me playing or if that was my team in Arkansas and we lost because of that that inch of a margin, and it was because they didn't want to change out to the right goalpost, I'd probably be mad and ask the NCAA, hey, how we allow that to happen? But I'm pretty sure both teams agreed to have that, um, you know, to have that goalpost out there. So
Yeah, and I mean, at the same time, what were we looking at? They were. The game, I mean, Arkansas was up 14-13 at the half,
Hmm.
went down 23-14, came back in the fourth quarter. I mean, it
They had their chances to win. They had their
they
chances to
they
win.
had their
So
chance to win. You feel for the kicker, look, a little upset about it. Like anything, you miss the kick, it's supposed to win the game under a minute, but uh, all in all, it was still a really good game to watch. Our picks for the week, I went 5-0, undefeated. You went 4-1. That's more like it for you. We're back on steady and ground for you. So you've had a lot of losses the last couple weeks. So I'm sitting at 18-5 overall in college. You're at 13-10.
mm-hmm.
We're doing pretty good with these college picks. I will say that.
Above five.
Now down above 500 is good. You know, I bet if I bet the money line in some of these games, I'd probably make a little bit of money on these
You
sitting at
definitely
18
would
and
have
5.
this
But
week.
yeah. So let's see. We're looking at week 5 matchups. We got 5 of them here. We got a top 20 game in Alabama and Arkansas. It's on
Mm-hmm.
the road in Arkansas. I just think coming off that, I'm going to go with Bama. Coming off that emotional loss from Arkansas, Alabama, like we said earlier, took care of business. I just think the Tide are going to roll into Fayetteville and take care of business. What do you think?
I'm right there with you. I mean, no matter if you're coming off a great win or that kind of emotional loss right there, even if you are at home, you're playing Alabama. Um, I think it could very well be a close game, and it could very well be a blowout. I mean, Nick Saban knows how to go against these type of quarterbacks. Um, KJ Jefferson's he's a good quarterback, great quarterback, but Nick Saban just knows how to go against Arkansas. He knows what to do preparation wise for his defense. So I got Bama winning that. It'll be a close one potentially.
I
I'll
think it'd be close to.
yeah. I'll give a score of I'll say it'll be I'll go 34-20. 34-20. I know it's a weird score, but I'm gonna keep it around that range.
34-20. Uh I'll go 20, 27, 24. I think it'll end up being a close game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in Alabama, there are 3 games against lesser opponents, I would say. They've only allowed 10 points overall. And then that game against Texas, it was a 20-19 win. So
Yeah.
Arkansas's got the talent to match Texas. So I think it would be a pretty close game on that one.
I hope
Uh,
Jefferson stay healthy. That's what I hope. I just hope it's a good game throughout and we don't have any injuries.
yeah, I agree there. Next game, top 10 matchup, number 5 Clemson
College
versus
game
NC
day of the
State.
week.
Game days in town. I just think, Clemson did play the overtime game last week,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to roll with the Tigers. I just think NC State, top 10 opponents, so they're pretty good if you're top 10. Clemson did come off that overtime game. I just think that Clemson's going to be too much for them.
Yeah.
You're on ABC at 7:30. You got game day in town. The atmosphere is going to be electric. I just think Clemson's going to have too much to handle for NC State. What do you think?
I'm right there with you. I do like Devin Leary at quarterback for NC State. He does have great stats on the year. 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. That's a good ratio to have. But I still see Clemson coming out. That's too big of a win for them to have against Wake Forest this past week. I think that defense is going to get more disciplined this week for sure, and they'll be ready for NC State.
Yeah, totally agree there.
Big time
Next one, where we got Baylor and Oklahoma State. I also believe this is also a top 25 game of the week this week. Let me see here. Yeah, number 9 versus number 16.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be at 3:30 on Fox. Oklahoma State's on the road at Baylor. I think the Cowboys are going to go in and they're going to get a little bit of upset if you can call a 16 over 9 an upset.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I just think, maybe on the road atmosphere, maybe Baylor sneaks one in on Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I have Oklahoma State in this game. I pick OSU. I don't know. I haven't got to see much of OSU schedule wise. They haven't played anybody too too crazy other than Arizona State. They played Arkansas Pine Bluff. That's a real team name, but they played them last week and won 63-7. The quarterback Spencer Sanders he's doing pretty well. I feel like he's been there forever. I feel like I've been hearing that name for a while, but he's 10-1 on the year, 10 touchdowns and 1 interception. So it's a great ratio. Look like he will do pretty well in this game against Baylor. It's at Baylor. That's the only holdup for me. That's why I think Baylor will give them a good run for their money. But I think it'll be a high scoring game for sure. I'll be a cliche pick and go 48-42. 49-42, sorry.
49, 42.
Mhm.
What also looks as Oklahoma State just had their bye week last week.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're coming off, rest and mental. You're preparing for a team for 2 weeks. Like I told you at the beginning of the year, that game one, you're hit or miss on that. Your coach, if he's a good coach, he has 3 months to prepare for one opponent. You know what quarterback's coming in, you know what offensive style, you know what defense you're going to be facing, you know how to prepare for these games, and you kind of have a good 10 play script, your 10 quick hits that you know are going to work against this team. That's kind of what Oklahoma just had right there with having that bye week. They had 2 weeks of preparation for Baylor. So
yeah, that's whoever made that schedule to have week 4 as your bye week. I don't know, but more power to them. I think that sways it a little bit. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, but I do think it's going to be a really close game.
mm-hmm.
It's probably going to be in the 50s. I'll say 55, 51. I'm going to stick with Baylor on that one.
The over under is
Good old
56
big.
and a half. So,
That over's hitting.
oh, yeah.
That over.
Baylor averages, Oklahoma averages 51 points a game, and the over under is 56 and a half. And Baylor averages 40 points a game. So, I don't know who the heck put that on as the over under, but
They don't lose a lot of money in Vegas, so
they
maybe
don't.
we're both off on that one. So
I'll hit the over on it, and I'll let you all know next week. Well, you'll see if I hit it or not.
we'll see. Don't put too much on that though.
No.
All right, moving on. My favorite matchup of the week: Kentucky, Ole Miss. Kentucky down in Oxford. We've got a noon Eastern time kickoff for that one. Top 14 game,
Mm-hmm.
as we both know. We talked about earlier. Kentucky coming off their 4-0. Ole Miss 4-0. Ole Miss has played Tulsa. They won by 7 or 8 last week. They played Central Arkansas. They played Troy. Their one Power Five opponent is Ole Miss or Georgia Tech, which they beat 42-0. But Georgia Tech just fired their coach, over the weekend. So I don't really think they've been battle tested.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely haven't gone up against the defense, obviously, that we have. If Chris Rodriguez coming back, Will Levis throwing the ball the way that he has, these receivers, I damn will say these 3 receivers are pretty elite that we have here. Could rival most of the nation probably in top 3 wide receiver room. I'm going with the Cats. I got to roll with it. Predicted it before the season, 11-1. This wasn't the game they're losing, so I'm rolling with Kentucky. You going against me with your Louisville fan bias, or you going to use your brain to go with me, or are you just going to go with Ole Miss and just ruin it?
Yeah, I got you. I'm not using my Louisville, bias and just because you're UK and pick against you. I'm going with you're at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin is a great, coach offensively, and your offense hasn't looked that great. Yes, your defense has, but your offense hasn't looked great this year. I think their offense is going to be too much for you all. I think it'll be a high scoring game, and it'll come down probably to the last couple possessions. And I got Ole Miss winning. And no, it's not biased. I really think Ole Miss is probably going to be a hard game for you all. Just to be in Ole Miss that's going to be a lot for you. And again, your battle tested this year was, your biggest opponent this year was who? Florida, which you won at Florida. That's saying a lot. That's a really good game to get ready for this. But I think Ole Miss is actually battle proven. They're 4-0. So we'll see what Ole Miss does again in this game. But I have them winning.
Yeah, we'll see. They're battle proven against Troy, Central Arkansas, Tulsa.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, Lane Kiffin's got high-powered offenses before. Their
Mm-hmm.
running attack is really good. I just,
Lane Kiffin is the reason why Georgia Tech's coach is out.
I mean, we'll see. Obviously, the game's got to be played. I just got a feeling like there's not really many more tougher atmospheres than at Florida. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think the crowd's going to be that much of a factor at all. Our defense plays the way it has. I just think it will probably be a close game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think our defense will keep us in anything um, in that game. So, moving on, last game of the week, Wake Forest, Florida State, another top 25 matchup this weekend. I think Florida State's coming off their bye week. I think they played in week 0, I believe, maybe.
Yeah, they
Wake
did
Forest coming off that last game. They played, okay. So Florida State coming off a bye week, Wake Forest coming off that overtime loss last weekend. I just think Florida State's got on a roll here lately, and I'm not going to say they're back, but after this week, if they can prove to win this game, which I think they will, I'm going to roll with the Noles that they will. They'll be set up for a good win.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Just to keep it going, I'm going with Wake Forest because the way they played last week against Clemson, they're definitely going to see something a lot better, and they'll probably perform a lot better. So I'm going with Wake Forest. Hartman to the rescue.
I got you. All right. Well, guys, thanks for listening. That's going to take a wrap on our college episode. Be looking out for our NFL episode. Drizzy's going to be out. Thanks for listening.
Tstalls out.